What's going on, guys? Hey guys, cool. Check it out. These people are here to see you and talk about stunt work. Sweet. Oh, there he is, cracking one open. It's a little early for that, man. It needs the Red Bull, though, right? Yeah. Gotta have the energy. Cool.
Trying to pump it up here.
Yeah, right. So how's it going?
Very good.
Very good.
I just came here from Japan.
From Italy all the way to Japan? Right on. What's your name? You gotta meet you, come on. He's here to talk to you.
Just for you guys. I just came.
You didn't, oh, take all that applause back. Sonny, how are you?
Jet lag also.
Jet lagged also. Did you just come in today?
I flew in a day ago.
A day ago.
Yeah, in Hawaii.
Whereabouts you come from?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Okay, well you got a 3-hour time shift in the positive direction, yeah?
Whatever, 3 hours behind.
That's right, Hawaii's 3 hours. Excuse me, I take that back. So you're 3 hours ahead. You're like, time to go party, and your body's like, no, go to sleep.
Party, man. Maybe that was a different time.
Oh, cool. Well, definitely great to have you. Eric, you all right? You good? You having fun?
Yeah, man. Things have been busy and crazy and wild, but it's been good. It's been nice to not be injured.
Not be injured?
Stunts and injury go hand in hand. So
Yeah.
It's Stunts.
it's been nice to feel calm.
Right on. Well, yeah, it's great to have you guys. Thanks for being at the show. I mean, it's fantastic to not just have, the stars. We have the people that were behind the scenes doing the hard work. I mean, I'm just going to throw out the blanket question. How was doing that back in the day to get associated with something like the Power Rangers?
I downplayed it so much, but in reality, blessing. I started Rangers second season Mighty Morphin, and it was kind of a strange and weird about way that, Walter Jones and I used to work at Universal Studios. Walter was in the Wild West show, stunt show, and what's the one, the ghost dude? Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah.
So he used to do the Beetlejuice show. I was at the Conan stunt show. And Walter and I used to hang out a bit. Both of us were also professional dancers. So one night we're kind of cruising around Hollywood, and he says, hey, I just did this. It's a TV show, man. It's like colored, superhero guys from Japan. I said, you know what? I grew up watching that stuff in Hawaii. The first one I remember, beat you with those. Gorenja, you guys familiar with that?
Gorenja.
1976. So I had no idea that I was going to end up getting into this. And the one thing that I think a lot of people take for granted is because this is a kid's TV show, they don't look at the stunts that people are doing as something that is difficult. But I'll tell you right now, whether you're in the helmet, the suit, a monster suit, a henchman suit, foot soldier suit, giant robot suit, that's not easy work. It's extremely claustrophobic, for one. I've had some friends who are big stunt performers who we have tried out to do some of the live show appearances just to go out and, be crowds and promos for the TV series, and they freaked out putting the helmet on. So, to be able to do certain things, Eric can attest to this. Eric is a phenomenal gymnast, and I used to be in awe of Eric when we work out. And then for him to do what he could do with the helmet, I would just go, wow, really, really amazing to see. So, my experience has been something that I've taken from working on Power Rangers, a few episodes with Beetleborgs with Ichi.
Oh yeah.
And then,
Where I was stunt coordinator.
and then working Kamen Rider Dragon Knight with Koichi. I've taken that into my career as a stunt person. which Rangers was my film school. So that's basically what my experience has been. It's continuing to grow and grow and grow. And even though I downplay it, when people are like, oh, he used to do Rangers, I'm like, no. None of the things. But end of the day, you know, I was just walking over here with, there's this gentleman right there. And he was telling me that he's been into this. He came all the way from Baltimore. And I thought, wow, he's been in it since day one. You're on the podcast. It's an amazing thing to see. So, thank you, everyone, for your support of this franchise.
Even back in the day, as far as the America is concerned, I mean, Power Rangers was big, and of course Japan had the Sentai series for a while. To bring that all over, I mean, I know for me personally, it was like, it's everything I wanted: robots, monsters, and martial arts. And just, I mean, you guys doing all that definitely helps make the show what it is. So definitely thank you for that. So,
let me tell you guys, it was interesting listening to Sonny just now, because I grew up watching Ultraman. I grew up watching, if you guys remember, Inframan. Inframan. Do you guys remember Inframan?
Yes.
He was this bug-looking creature with, you know, and very Power Ranger-y in the sense of his outfit, but, you know, he had these antennas, and you'd hear the bug sound, and he'd leap in the air and start doing martial arts, and I was in love with that stuff. Prince Planet, I mean, those were all the things I grew up on, and so there used to be another thing back in the day when MTV videos came out called Friday Night Videos. And I'll never forget, I was living in Boston at the time, never been to California, and didn't have any inspirations to come to California. And I'm watching these music videos, and all of a sudden I see this guy go, oh, look, and he's inside of some kind of, like, a vehicle of some sort, and I'm like, what was that? Like, what was that? You know, and then suddenly, you know, we're talking 10 years later, I'm now auditioning for Power Rangers, and you know, to look at that footage and realize that was what I saw 10 years ago in Boston on like an MTV music video thing. And so, you know, as Sonny was saying, Power Rangers, that was a lot of work, boy. I've done a lot of projects from Power Rangers to now, and to this day, Power Rangers was baptism by fire. Power Rangers was Power Rangers was intense, man. You guys remember Pudgy Pig? Okay, I've done a lot of costume work. Pudgy Pig is about a solid 4.5 to 5 inches of foam latex, and to wear that costume outside on a 70, let alone a 90-degree day, you're going to sweat a lot. And when I tell you your average was 16.9 ounce bottle of water, that's what you're pouring out of your boots. I mean, it's when you watch these episodes and people think, you know, a kid's show, it's not that much work. It's the most work I've probably ever done.
Truth.
And you know, and then the craziest thing of all, which I never understood, the production company only had one helmet. So each helmet, there was only one. And so suddenly they're telling you to take reactions and falls and explosions, but you can't hit your head. And you're like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm gonna fall to the ground. How do I not hit my head? You can't. Like, we have to protect the helmet. And then you're trying to figure out, like, okay, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. And so you start learning, it changes your skill set. You start learning all kinds of things. The wardrobe people had a huge learning curve. The type of metal base that's on this microphone, that's kind of what the boots were that the putties wore. They were called Red Wing boots when we first began in season 1. And they had us trying to do butterfly twists and kicks on rocks and dirt with cowboy boots. I'm gonna die that way. You know, the putties had a scuba suit. Can you imagine a scuba suit outside today in 85 degrees? And, you know, so, you know, and in the morning, let me tell you something that's really funny. In the morning, this is what you would usually see. First of all, it's very cold in the morning. You're wearing spandex. There's morning dew all over the grass, so it's slippery. And if you do a backflip, you're probably going to land on your head, neck, and shoulders. But you see a bunch of putties, and they're kind of just like, and I mean, it's when you say labor of love, man, I can't express to you enough. When I first started Power Rangers, I would have, I say I would have done it for free, that's basically it. But I would have done it for free. It was truly living out your biggest childhood dream. But then you started to learn the business behind the art, and then it got a little tough every now and then. But it was film school. You started learning other people's jobs. You started learning about using, lenses and a 5.9 on baby legs, and trying to create the Zord feel, and looking up and kind of creating, how big and massive the Zords were. And I mean, it was awesome, man. It was awesome.
Okay. First of all, thank you for coming today. And I'm Michi. I was born in Japan, Tokyo, Japan. And when I was in my childhood, I saw a Kamen Rider original and Power Ranger, Go Ranger, right? That's original. When I saw it in my childhood, oh my God, it is my hero, I thought. And when I was at 16 years old, I joined the original Power Ranger and the Kamen Rider stunt team. And then I became a stuntman in Japan. And then I learned the Japanese style because they are original. The Power Ranger, Go Ranger, and also Kamen Rider style, I learned a lot over there. And I came here when I was 29 to be a stuntman and stunt coordinator. And I got the part, Master Rider, and suit acting work, and also stunt coordinator in the United States, in Hollywood. And then when I got the job in Hollywood, okay, our style is completely different from the American style. Because you guys are so funny, when you're talking about, but our style is more like, hey Michi, you do it. You just hold down over here. You just kick it in costume. But that's a common sense. You cannot see it, that's no excuse. Don't say that. We are the stunt actor. That's your job. You do it. Yes, sir. That's our style. That's our style. And then when I came here, but I didn't talk in English at all. Zero. And I tried to understand American culture and also English. That's the first step for me. But I already understand how to shoot in Japan. That's why I brought such a method to the Hollywood. And then when I was there, so I looking for the stunt man or the masked rider. But masked rider style is completely different style from the American style, because you wear in costume and also you're talking and acting and also the stunt work, everything we do it. So I did audition a lot, but I couldn't see stuntman matching for the masked rider. That's why I decided to do a stunt coordinator as well as the stuntman in costume. And then when I did, going back to the Japan, so when I did stunt work, they are pretty strict and no excuse all the time. We have to always on set, we have to sit down like this, quiet down, and only smoking like this. But the American style, no smoke. And then we are talking to each other on set, and then the AD said, quiet please. That's American style, I thought. No, this is a completely culture difference, I thought. Yeah, but this was fun for me because the American style is more like enjoy the stunts, enjoy the work. Now, Japanese style more like bam, everything like that. So, and then in costume and also stunt coordinator in United States in Hollywood, it was fun because everybody is open mind and also the American people accept another culture. It was great. and then I did second unit director, stunt coordinator, and the stuntman in Masked Rider. And after the Masked Rider first season done, I moved on to the beetle boards and the metallic sports. And I met Tony, right?
Yeah.
And then and then he is working for the beetle boards and those beetle boards metallics. And then it was great fun in costume and the American sunny hot temperature. It was
Shooting in deserts, right? All the time.
yeah, shooting, and we have no break, but it was fun. I learned a lot in Hollywood.
That's awesome.
Can I add one thing?
You can certainly. Yeah.
So, it's also interesting listening to what he's describing right now because people always went, man, Eric, you started out on Power Rangers. I didn't do the pilot, but every episode after that, I was originally brought on because Walter and I did Star Search. You guys remember Star Search?
Yeah.
You gotta get the crowd. You're old.
Before America's Got Talent.
Yeah, right. And was it The Voice? For those of you who don't know, but Walter and I were in a music group together, and so and we lost.
What was the name of your music?
It was called, and we didn't name it, just to be clear. I did not name this, I'm not owning this, but 5 is the jam.
There you go.
But I will say this, the year that we competed, Justin Timberlake was 9 years old, Christina Aguilera was there, Britney Spears was on there, Dave Chappelle was on there, and there was a little girl, black girl group called Girls Time. And then later they became Destiny's Child, and it was Beyonce when she was 12 years old.
Wow.
So who would have guessed, that one moment we were there and met all the people that we met, and that was a real cool privilege. But the Japanese footage is what every time people are like, oh my God, you're so good. I was just doing my watered down version of the work that these guys put in because I saw behind the scene footage of stuff that I would never have done. I saw the guys take their ankles, wrap the cable around their ankle, jump, and someone pull, and they did what looked like 3 full twists before hitting the ground. I will never forget that. I'm like, I will never do that. I saw things that you look at and you go, and then how much did they get paid? And you go, that's it? Are you kidding?
Japanese style.
These guys, I was shocked in 1993 when Power Rangers aired to find out that it had been on 30 years already. And I'm like, you mean people made they had families? They had grandchildren on this thing? And so I'm like, I will never be that guy. And here we are, folks! I'm gonna tell you though, seriously, I always feel like a little bit of, I don't want to say a fraud, but the work that the Japanese Jew Ranger that they put in, it will never, ever top what American, they brought it. They brought it. Everything we did was all about honoring what those guys put in because they paid their dues for everybody and then some, so.
Definitely, you can see the influence of Japanese stunts even in the American industry. Yeah, but even continuing on, so many people that went through the Saban different series that it's typical now to hear an American guy do a seiuchi.
Oh, seiuchi. It's 40
falling
on the back.
Fall on your back. Basically a forward 3/4 to your back, or a back 3/4. But that's become common terminology in the American stunt industry to go do a seiuchi. So that's definitely something to be said about what these guys have done. And for like Eric, I believe you were weekly, right? So Eric was on the show. I worked as a daily, meaning that I came in when they needed extra people, which still allowed me to go out and do other things where my career was concerned. But always going back to the series was like back to basics-ish. where, sometimes you get a little flashy with other things and you might have ideas about what you want to do, but then you get home, the minute you get back on set, you got to put that costume on. The culmination of that for me came in 2007 when I did Broken Path with Johnny Bosch, Dan Southworth, Motoko, Tadahiro, and Koichi directing.
Oh, Koichi.
Yes. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's showing full length on YouTube, I think. And it got this really bad rap because again, everybody recognized it was Power Rangers, but it was Power Rangers to the ultimate before the raid came out. So if you guys want to see some crazy stunts, working in 100 plus degrees, 100% humidity out in Brown, Texas. Everything that I learned on Rangers, we did on that one movie. It's 15 minutes of, oh, this is the plot, and then it's just an hour, 15 minutes of straight crazy. So if you get a chance to watch it on YouTube, check it out. It's called Broken Path. I think another title of it was called Attack of the Yakuza.
Oh.
Would you guys do you guys have questions for Eric or Michi? You guys cool taking questions? I'm the gentleman right here.
How much of the stunt was scripted and how much was it free form, or were you allowed to just do on your own?
Were you allowed?
It depends on the stunt coordinator. Because the stunt coordinator is reading the script, right? And the stunt coordinator think of how express the moves following the script. And then we are thinking of the camera angle and also the storyline with the action. And then the other stunt coordinator have to think of the story and also the camera angle and also screen expression. And then I'm asking, telling the stunt guys, okay, can you do like this? Can you do like this? And I'm telling the cameraman, DD, and the director of the photographer, I'm telling them, okay, set up over here, and stunt guys moving like this, main guys moving like this, and set up from here and shooting here, and then stunt guy please go flipping in front of the camera. And then we attach each piece to the film. That's the way. That's the answer?
When I first came on the show, they, it's, you know how Marvel Films always has the prototype costume for the hero, and then the hero eventually gets the nice shiny one, and it was cool and everything. We all go, yeah. So that was where Power Rangers was when I first got started on the show. It was they had just done a pilot with Tadashi Yamashita, and the characters at the time were very rigid. The putties sounded like they were metal. You guys remember a TV show called The Herculoids?
Yes! Really? Yeah, you old! That's Hanna-Barbera, Herculoids, Space Ghost. Oh yeah, baby!
So Bloop and Bleep
Yeah.
on Hanna-Barbera I created the sound of the putties using Bloop and Bleep. And so on Power Rangers, the pilot episode, they just went, and they looked at each other, and if they got hit, it sounded like metal. And I was speaking with Haim Saban, and I said, what do you think about this? This is a sound that I envisioned based on you describing them as being elastic and like Bloop and Bleep from the Herculoids. And so I go, and he goes, oh, I love it. You know, we're looking for a sound.
Wow.
We're looking for a sound that's not aggressive, that's not going to scare the kids, and so on and so forth. He goes, do that again? And I do it, and I'm thinking, I'm going to get a voiceover out of this. This is awesome. I want to be the voice of the buddies. And then I never hear from the guy, and then all of a sudden I hear the show comes out, and I'm like, hey, that's my sound! And so you go, hey, whatever, because again, I was so passionate about it. I'm just, everybody bringing the art to the table, I'm like, yeah, just take it, enjoy it, whatever. But, the choreography was the same. The show was pretty much pretty raw in that sense. When I first started, it was, holy good, the American karate name is John Barrett. Woo! That was hard, I just pulled out of the archives. John Barrett was the stunt coordinator. He did a movie called American Karate. Anyway, the point is, he brought me on with Walter, and they were like, okay, so we're looking for acrobatics and martial arts, and David, Yost, and Kimberly were already really strong gymnasts, and of course, Austin and Jason were freaking on there at the time. But Austin was, just ridiculous. He was perfect. And then people don't really understand how intimidating would it be for one of you to come up and do a fight scene with us? That would basically be the idea. Like she came with a blank sheet, and she probably took some martial art classes at a local YMCA. But other than that, she was really that raw, and she really had to put in way more work than everyone else, and she did phenomenal. Like, I was so impressed by her. Richard Brandon, who's the late Richard Brandon who passed on, one of the stunt guys for the Buddies, from Boston. Richie was strong in wushu. He studied under a martial artist instructor named Yao Li, and he was working with her privately and trying to teach her Enshohma and all these different forms and weapons. And so when it came to the choreography, he was starting to get the crew to understand the fluidity of the dance. And it was John Barrett, the coordinator, and myself, who were trying to work with the cast. After a while, if you guys remember when you watched some of the first episodes of Power Rangers, there is a really tall putty. You guys remember that real tall putty? Real skinny and tall? That, yeah, I wish. That was a guy named Bob. It was Bob, and then a really big one. It was almost like an Abbott and Costello. and that was Dwayne. And those guys, the putties would just constantly go side to side. That was all we did,
I remember that.
And again, trying to copy Japanese footage, but doing a really bad job. And so then they brought in another gentleman, Isaac Florentine, and Isaac started going more in the direction now of solid choreography, where you could see some serious action happening that started to resemble more of the Japanese footage, where they actually clearly know what they're doing. And so, there you go.
To answer your question too, in terms of how much was free flow, was it choreographed? In support of what Michi had just said,
What did I say?
it was choreographing with the idea of the backstory on the spot. On the spot. So again, also touching upon the idea that you better know what you're doing. They don't have time to teach you on set.
Yeah.
You gotta know what you're doing. And if you aren't in rhythm with whoever it is that you're fighting, with the limited amount of, vision that you can see with certain things, someone's gonna get caught. And I've seen it happen. As a matter of fact, there was a fitness champion girl who was really good with gymnastics. And at this time, Jeff Pruitt was coordinating before Koichi came in. And he brought this girl on, and I recognized her from her fitness competitions. I said, what are you here for? She goes, oh, I'm going to be doing stunts. Oh, fantastic. So the first thing that Jeff had her do was flip into the scene. She was playing putty and throw a front kick over the stunt double's head, my Blue Ranger, and she kicked him right in the face.
Well,
So after that, he said, just do your flip in the background. And they were very strict at that point to make sure that whoever was doing stunts really knew how to fight and pick up choreography really fast. So I hope that answered the question.
Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember docks? You remember what docks are? Those boots that look like an army boot, and they come with steel toes. Yeah. So wardrobe had a learning curve too, and so wardrobe would put the putties in cowboy boots on loose gravel, and they would take people who've never done fight scenes, as Sonny's just describing, and put steel toes in the boots. Now, what you don't what you don't understand is, if you take your hands like this and you go like this is all we can see. So when you see a little pink ranger coming at you, winding up, and you've been sweating in this mask, and it's foggy, and there's not enough holes, and you can't see.
yeah.
When you see putties scared, they were scared. There was a reason to be scared. So a lot of times you'll hear a lot of high-pitched putties, because they're like, oh my God, it's coming, and I can't see. And so after a while, we started figuring out taking ivory dove, or inside the shield to try to stop it from the condensation from like blinding you, like you can't see. And so people were getting kicked in the nose, kicked in the teeth with steel-toed Doc Martens. And I'm telling you, like, and to this day, when I see pink boots, all I think, kids got Amy all over it, man. And you just squeeze your knees together and you're like, God.
The other side of it was in addition to the vision. So when you put these helmets on, you maybe have at the most half-inch from
If that.
and the helmet's pushing up on your nose and your teeth, right? So you got to also consider that a lot of the costumes that were brought onto the series came from Japan,
Right.
and a lot of the Japanese guys are smaller than most of the Americans.
Yeah.
I remember having to do the Halloween episode with Jason, and he was fighting a bunch of monsters. I wore I don't know the name of the costume, but it was a goat.
Robo-Goat.
There you go. And you couldn't zip it all the way up, and the head wouldn't go all the way over my head. So I had to fight the whole way. Then, going back to the visibility of what you had in the helmets, in '94, I believe, at the height of Power Rangers Mighty Morphin, we decided to do a live show, a live tour. And I ended up going on that tour. But they needed footage still to show on this giant screen of White Ranger falling out of his sword. And at that point, I only had worn the suit maybe a handful of times before I switched over to a putty. But they were like, okay, so here's the thing. We're gonna shoot it at this angle. You're jumping off the roof of a restroom at a park, and you gotta clear this sidewalk, and you gotta land on that pad over there. So I'm thinking sidewalks maybe 6 feet wide, I gotta jump out, fly out. And that depth perception on my helmet, I couldn't see where the pad was. So my friend, Spencer just goes, excuse my language, just tuck your head and look at your butthole. So when I jumped out, I rotated so hard that I missed the pad. And I bounced on the grass on my butt. And I'm like, trying to play it off, but of course, it's hurting. And they go, you didn't move your arms too much, can we do another take? And I'm like, oh, okay. So, to the experience of what everybody's saying.
Who was the stunt coordinator?
Koichi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Koichi, like,
You just say, are you okay? And move on,
yeah,
right?
move on. Just do it. Sonny, you okay? All right, okay, one more? You can't say no. He's saying, are you okay? Can you do one more? He really needs to say, you gotta do it again. Do it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys know Guyver the Dark Hero?
Yes.
You guys know Guyver?
Favorite anime?
That's who he's talking about. He's talking about Koichi. Koichi was in the Guyver costume. So when you see the Guyver kid, he goes, "Rah, bam!" I'm telling you, man. So Koichi is, he knows what it's like to take those falls, and so he's looking at us like, I know. So go ahead and do it again.
I had an experience working on when they were doing Zio, and they had Makoto playing Red Zio. And Makoto's known for being very, very strict, very hard. He wants to see impact. And for this particular shot, which he was directing, and I'm playing a cog. And so Makoto's supposed to do a side kick to my chest. Well, he does the bladed side kick. Not pushing with the heel, but side like this. I think we did 7 or 8 takes. And I think Koichi was just testing to see if I could complain. Because I know they got it in 2 takes. He just said, again, son, you can do it again. No problem, no problem. Bam, bam, bam. And every time I got up, when I took my costume off later, I had, the Bruce Lee movie where the ring kicks him in the chest. I had that footprint as a bruise. As a bruise.
I don't know. Play the next question. I got the gentleman right here in the end.
Yeah, so you talked about the difference between Japanese and American work styles.
but how about adapting to the more Japanese style movement brought in when Koichi and Makoto and those guys came in?
That was a hard, for me, that was a really hard transition. I'm a self-taught street tumbler, so I trust my own natural God-given springs. And so to trust a wire was like, and especially a wire that tiny, I wasn't familiar with that. And so that was Jeff Pruitt at the time. And Pruitt and Koichi, actually, they were a team back then. And yeah, that was a super hard transition for me. One of the gentlemen I was talking about who was working with Tweed, Richard Brandon, got on the cable. He took an uppercut, went flipping back once, went flipping back the second time. One of the cables broke. He ended up breaking his femur. That was when I was done with wires personally. But that was the style that was being brought, and I realized I am either going to learn this new style or I'm going to be phased out. And I decided at that time that the level of difficulty was definitely getting harder, and I should say difficulty, the level of hazard. In stunts, there's two things. It's not if you get hurt, it's when and how bad. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And so I decided that for me, that was getting way too crazy. It's a hard thing, as he explained before. In Japan, they go for it, man. And if you're not committed and you're not ready to commit on that level, let's get somebody in who's willing to do it.
You're also saying the style, right?
Yeah.
Definitely that's something that has to be taught, like an acting school-ish. Just even the gestures alone. From my experience of what I watched, that I made sure that later with people that I brought in to be able to do live show stuff, there's this belief that putting on the Ranger suit automatically makes you a Ranger, and that's not true. I think you need to encompass the whole scenario. So, say for example, a simple gesture is something that's like, look over there, I'm over here. Those simple things, the Japanese move a very particular way that is just more than just mimicking moving your hands. You know what I mean? There's a certain way that you gotta do it, there's a subtlety, and there's also a time where it's gotta be very dramatic. And that's something that the American stunt people had to learn to really get what the Japanese are doing in order to make that feel authentic. Because the original series were fill-ins, the Americans were fill-ins for the story, where you saw the Japanese footage, which was typically happening in the city, right? And then before that transition, maybe before the Zords came in and all that kind of stuff, the American stunt people started with filling in the gaps of the storyline. And later, in the successive years, starting particularly in second season MMPR, that's when the Americans started doing all the action, before Alpha Stunts came.
Michi was there. I'm sorry. Michi was there. Did you have to learn a different style coming through here? Did it feel like a regression, or did you have to adapt to the American way of doing things?
When I'm doing the American in Hollywood, actually, I learned the American style for how to shoot, because Japanese style is for the American style. Basically, let's go decide a master shot. Master shot means main camera position first, and then pick up a tiny piece. But in most of the Japanese style is we are thinking in our mind, and then attaching each pieces, and then we are shooting each pieces, and then after that we connect it as a film. Otherwise, we have to do a many, right? Because we shot master shot. We shot medium shot, we shot tiny shot. In time spending, right? Yeah, time wasting time. So we don't wanna be wasting time. That's why for 100 setup camera, so we do a piece. That's why stunt coordinator is like a kind of director. So that's why we do a stunt coordinator means the action director. Yeah. So that's why we do a small piece, action piece, action piece, action piece, and we connect. Great. That's our style. But actually, master style shot is like more like artist, I thought. Because when we see the, think of the big wide map, oh, this is a map. So it's like a drawing, keep drawing like this. And after that, connect the pieces. It's like more like planning style. So I found that it's kind of big picture and then attaching a small pieces and then make a movie. That's the part I like in Hollywood.
Let me tell you guys, man, I wish that more of the directors and coordinators did that because there were numerous episodes. You know, like Sonny was saying, you have to imagine going home just covered in bruises and you know, when I say blood, sweat, and tears, like no joke. And so some of the scenes that you were watching that are on screen for realistically 10 seconds, maybe 15. We shot 28 takes to get that one freaking moment. And they shot it master, medium, close-up, reverse angle, reaction, cutaways. Like and you just had to, so one of the takes, one of the scenes that you get to see for 15 seconds is a backflip, get up, kip up, run over, backflip again, and fall. That's 2 backflips for one shot. Well, we shot 28 times.
No.
So what's 28 times 2?
It's a wide shot?
So that's 56 backflips for just that one shot, and you still have a 12-hour day left. And you're just going, I'm stupid.
It's wasting time,
So you know, I've been blessed enough to work on a lot of other different shows, and one of the shows I got to work on was Martial Law.
Oh, yeah.
And with Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan's big brother.
All of this time.
Oh, now you get to suddenly see the pieces
Oh,
that
yeah.
he's speaking of.
It's
And you go,
inside.
oh, this feels so much better.
You don't need to repeat, right?
And yet those pieces have such dynamic energy because
Yeah.
you're not
Oh, yeah.
burnt out.
That's right.
That's awesome. Yes.
I am an actor and I do stunts. I was lead in an action feature film. I want to be like the next like action star, you know. I just want if there's any advice that I can do. I'm only 12, so I really want to.
12 years old?
She wants to be the next Cynthia Rothrock.
I see. Wasn't big enough.
Cynthia's a personal friend, so
Oh, really?
I got a really good way to go back. So,
Yeah, maybe you learn the United States. Maybe you learn the martial arts first, and also gymnastics, and in addition, acting. Acting is very, very important for the stunts too, because now the time they need acting too. So you have to learn first acting first, and then martial arts, and then also the gymnastics, and plus action choreography, action moves. So this is the combined talent for the movie.
I am an actor and I am
Oh, I see.
martial arts instructing. I want to know if there's any other skills that I can really learn on.
are you going to acting classes?
I am an actor. I'm actually also working here in America. That's why you're here. I'm Canadian.
Okay.
I was the lead in an action feature film.
Okay.
I do taekwondo. I do boxing. I do a little Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I do weapons like post jab,
Wow.
punch-up.
Okay. So I'll give you my take on it, right? When you watch any American style, Western style films, why is it that the actor that they pick is not necessarily a martial artist? Because it's their acting that they care about more. Yes, it's important that they have the background to be able to pull off what you can do. Like in your instance, I'm thinking that you want to be able to say, I do all my own stuff, right? That's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But in the Western way of filmmaking, they really look at your ability to act before the martial arts, before the stunts, before the gymnastics. So your acting has to be really, really strong. If by chance you do martial arts and gymnastics and everything else, that's what will separate you from the rest of the actors when they're considering you for the role. That makes sense?
Yeah. So just to piggyback on what Sonny just said, he just described and you are doing right now the path that I was on. So you would be sitting on this panel. You're 12. You'd be sitting on this panel. 38 years from now, and you'll be sitting here going, I should have listened to Sonny. I should have listened, and everything hurts. Here's the thing. I'm from Boston originally, and I didn't know that there was a stunt double. Never heard of it before. So I'm thinking all the actors did all their action. When I see Bruce Lee, after he fights, wearing black Speedos, and he's got the gloves on, and he's doing the fights against Enshohma, and he at the end of the fight, he goes, round off backhand spring, and he does a backflip over all the monk's hands. And one of the cool things about editing is they actually made the sound go like he did 2 flips. Because in my memory, I always remember 2.
I always thought it was 2 also, right? Then
but it was only 1.
Only 1, yeah.
But for you, I thought I had to learn how to do it. So I went and I actually learned how to do it. And I could do everything that those characters on movies could do before I came to California. Now I'm out here, and I dabbled in acting a little, but I'm thinking it's about the action. I'm gonna blow them away with my action, and they're gonna have to give me the part. Boy, so I'm sitting in rooms, I'm throwing my flips, I'm throwing my kicks, I'm doing all the things that I do, and they're going, they can't see you as an actor. They don't see you as a performer. All they see is dynamic action that you're gonna make their movie, and wow, you're gonna look great as a stunt person. And so the biggest trick in the world in this business that I ended up learning way too late is, this is a hard one, because great, if you're 12 and you're doing this already, you're an artist. And there's a very difficult line between art and business. And so you're going to have to realize you may have to keep your art more to yourself and learn the business behind your art. And the business is, they don't want to see an actor flipping kick. They want to see, there's a movie called Cradle to the Grave. It had a rapper named DMX who died not that long ago. DMX can do a martial art movie with Jet Li, but Jet Li cannot do a rap album with DMX. That's how it works in the stunt world. If you want to be an actor can do their own stunts, but they don't really want to see a stunt person act. They're good. They're like, what are you doing? Now, there's a new door that's been opening lately with the John Wick films and Atomic Blonde and all that, where you're seeing more stunt people getting an opportunity to be stunt actors. But in the end of the day, try to learn about what minimum wage is. You know what minimum wage is right now? What do you think it is? Minimum wage for work. About $15 an hour. You know what it was when I was about your age? $3.35 an hour. You know what some people get paid? They get paid something called scale. It's even as this table. When 10 years goes by, the table will be higher up. It'll look like we're getting paid more, but we're still at the table. We're never standing on top of the table. We're still getting paid minimum wage for where the world is at that time. Do you want to still be working at minimum wage 38 years from now? Then you don't want to do something.
No, that's okay. You can do anything you want if you want to do it.
You have to just
trust yourself. Trust yourself. You can do it.
You already sound like you're very passionate about doing
You
it.
still
In what you're doing right now, if you have, what I'm saying from the business aspect of stuff, get out there and make your own content.
There you go.
Put it online so people see what you can do. I've known quite a few people who've gotten big parts initially, and then made their way to lead roles because they put their stuff out there. But again, to back up what you can do, just make sure that you have necessary training before you step into it and blow everybody away.
Definitely.
Well, I do have to say, but unfortunately, we are out of time. But I am positive that both Sonny and Mishi, and of course Eric, if you've got questions, they're going to be at their booth signing throughout the weekend. Please swing by, say hi, say thank you, ask for more advice, whatever the case may be.
Can I just share one more thing?
Yeah, please.
So, at some point, I think 99 was the last season that I worked on Rangers. And, but I ended up working for Savant still for 20 years. At some point, back in 2012, 2013, they asked if I could inventory everything from 1993 to 2013. So I was putting pieces of this, and this, and this, and this. Apparently somewhere along the way, I must have taken some stuff home to either repair or work on something, and I just recently went to my storage space. If there's anybody
The real one?
a legitimate, authentic production suit from Rangers. Never used it.
Nice.
No. I'll tell you right now, this is definitely a picture suit because it's flawless. I don't think it's ever been worn. So because of the size, it's definitely either for Walter or John.
Can I have it?
We'll discuss.
I don't have even glasses, so I don't have that.
20 cents, because I'm a college student.
Mama gave us money.
All right, did you steal anything?
That's an interesting question that you just asked. Did you guys hear what he just said?
No.
He said, did you steal it?
Did you accidentally take something home from the set?
Yes.
So here's a quick short story. I can't believe you just asked that.
I probably phrased it poorly and I apologize.
No, you phrased it right, actually. So there was a producer, his name is Jonathan Zakar. And Jonathan, we shot an episode, you guys remember Pineapple the Clown?
Yes.
Yeah? Remember how the putties and all the characters and the little girl who were turned into like stiff boards? If you come to table 114, you will see the putty that we were all told, don't take anything. And I remember it was lunchtime. And I put the putty in my car and I drove off and I came back to set. I was a little late for lunch and everyone was like, where's the putty? And has anybody seen the putty? And I was trying to play all stupid, so I have a horrible poker face. And so, Jonathan looks at me, I get called into production. I'm sat down by Jonathan Zakar and Chip. They sit me down and they go, we know you have it. And I go, have what? We know you have a putty. I don't have it. And I'm thinking, I'm going to stick to my game. Like, what are they going to do? Chip comes up with this freaking brilliant thing where he says, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you go right now. And you're fired. Or you can get up right now. Jonathan's going to go with you. And we're going to go back to your apartment. And we're going to see if you have it there. And I'm like, they can't do this. And I finally go, fine. And Jonathan comes with me and drives. The producer comes to my crappy old apartment. And I'm looking around. I did put it in the corner of the room, so I thought maybe I could bring him in the room real quick and take him out. And he went around the side of the bed and saw my putty sitting on the floor. And he looks at me. Here, come here. I was once your age. I've made some mistakes in my life. I'm gonna give you a chance. We'll keep this between you and I. But you're gonna have to pay this forward one day. Keep it to yourself. Don't tell the rest of the cast. And that putty is sitting outside at table 114 right now, 30 years later.
Now you have something to go see in his book. So please, thanks once again. I am Paul. apologize that we are out of time, but please give a big,
Thank
huge
you.
round of applause to the study assistant, Michi Yamamoto, and Mr. Eric Betts. Go see that they're dudes. Go take a picture with a buddy.